Hey, good evening and welcome to Chief's Angels. So I am going to run through my breeding, or excuse me, how I feed in my breeding room, my fish room where I breed my angelfish. So when I feed my fish, I feed them a variety of things, especially my juveniles. When I go out, want them to go out to your homes, I want them to be able to be readily able to accept a wide range of foods. So I feed them a mix of Ken's, discus, and angel food flake, and I also feed them a mix of different brine shrimp direct flake. So I have, and I'll pull these out and show them to you, a variety of different foods that I get from brine shrimp direct. And what I'll do is I'll mix these into jars, and I mix these, and so like here I have a juvenile mix from Brine Shrimp Direct. This is a mix of different foods that they make. I also have my breeder mix from Brine Shrimp Direct, which is another mix of foods. And then I keep a small container of Ken's, discus, and angelfish flake. But these are my primary foods that I feed my angelfish. Breeders get a mix with Cool Earth, Cool Color, and Cool Mysis. Cool Earth, all the ingredients on these things are pretty good. Cool Earth adds earthworm to that mix. Cool Color is another mix. Brine shrimp, fish protein, and then Cool Mysis is mysis shrimp. And then for juveniles and then my community tanks, I also use the deli flake from Brine Shrimp Direct. So, say hi to Cammie. She's my fish room buddy. We're gonna start feeding. I do have owls that are fry in a fry jar, and so I'll be going through the brine shrimp and wolf shrimp. I have kind of a ghetto setup for brine shrimp. I use 2-liter bottles. I put this in a video originally about a year ago, but I use 2-liter soda bottles. I cut the bottoms off, invert them, have my airline tubing, my pump. I use a reptile heat lamp for light and a heat source. So we're gonna rinse some brine shrimp off the sides of the containers here. Pull my airline tubing out. I keep another 2-liter bottle with water in it, and I just stick the airline tubing in that while I'm setting up to actually feed these. So just an old 2-liter Sprite bottle, and I started this bottle last night. So this is a 24-hour brine shrimp hatch, and we'll bring this, and what I'll do is I'll set this here so the brine shrimp will separate from the eggshells. The brine shrimp will sink. When we come back, you'll see orange at the bottom, and all the hatched shells will be at the top. I keep some aged water that I'll rinse the salt water off of the brine shrimp before I feed them. So let's go back. We need to let that settle, and we're gonna feed our fish. So here I have a gorgeous breeding pair. This is a Pinoy Clown pearl scale and a Philippine Blue Silver pearl scale. These are both veils, the super veils. He's cleaning slate, so hopefully I get a spawn from these two soon. Over here I have a Philippine Blue Marble and a Philippine Blue Silver veil, or excuse me, Blue Zebra veil. Beautiful fish. And over here in a jar I've got their fry. You can see some of their fry swimming around in there. The other fish that are swimming in here are from the Philippine Blue Silver and the Pinoy Clowns that I already showed you. Over here we have Blue Silver Wi-Fi, and there is a blue leopard in there from a spawn. I was not expecting him, but he is right down there. Everybody keeps wanting to buy him from me, and I keep telling them no because I want to raise him up because I think he's going to be a beautiful fish. I also have plecos in there. We have some Paraiba. I saw one Pinoy Paraiba in there, so I'm very excited to see him grow out. And there's some smoky Paraiba and some Pinoy Zebra in there as well. Empty tank here. When I take those blue marble fry out of that jar, they'll go in here. And again, I have bristlenose plecos in most of my tanks. This is another tank. This has an albino pleco, bristlenose, and a clown pleco in there. And then here's my other breeding pair. These are ghosts, and each one does have one Philippine blue gene. So I bred, their parents were some breeders of mine, and their parents were a Philippine blue smoky and a smoky blusher. And these are two of their offspring that paired off. And knowing that they both have the ghost to the stripeless gene and the Philippine blue, I'm hoping that I'll get some Paraiba. I'll confirm that they both have the Philippine blue gene if I do end up getting some Paraiba. But I know they both have the stripeless gene. And so, to feed, we'll start with the breeders. I've got the breeder mix. This is a combination of the Cool Earth, Cool Mysis, and Cool Color. The angelfish really love this stuff. They eat it all up. There's hardly ever any uneaten food left on the bottom of the tank. And we'll come over here. So there's our marbles, blue silver, pair fed. Our Pinoy blue silver pair fed, and we're gonna come over here and feed this last pair. The video moves around a lot, sorry. I'm still relatively new at doing the videos on YouTube. I'll get better. And feed these two. Now, I like to change out my breeding pairs. I have another breeding pair downstairs, but I have them separated right now. I collected a spawn, and then these two paired off, so I separated them. When I get another spawn from the Pinoy Clown and the Blue Silver, I'll separate them and bring the other two back up here. That way I'm not breeding the same fish over and over and getting a large stock of the same types of angelfish. I can mix it up and rotate what I'm breeding. And the breeders always get right back together when I've had them separated for a while. So we're going to put the lid on that. And now we're going to grab the juvenile mix. And these guys will get the juvenile mix. I keep plecos in my juvenile tanks because they keep the tanks cleaned up. Any uneaten food that gets to the bottom, the plecos just devour it right up. And it saves me, I still do the water changes, so it doesn't really save me on water changes, but it does save the tank getting really dirtied up and the parameters getting out of whack. Now we're going to feed these blue silver Wi-Fi. And again, plecos eat up all the uneaten food. So I did the water changes before I fed this morning, and there is no uneaten food down there in the bottom of the tank. So the plecos do a really good job of that. And I'm going to switch to the Ken's discus and angelfish food for these Paraiba. They're a little smaller. The Ken's food is not as sturdy of a flake as the brine shrimp. The flake breaks down a lot easier. And with as small as these fish are, it's a little easier for them to feed on it. Now these paribas will also get any leftover brine shrimp from my brine shrimp feeding today with the fry jar. So now it's been a couple of minutes and we can go back and see if our brine shrimp have separated in the water. I will need a couple of tools. When running a brine shrimp hatchery, turkey baster is almost a requirement. I use solo cups to collect the brine shrimp. I know a lot of folks use the brine shrimp nets or the finely meshed nets. That's great too. I just started, I used a solo cup, and that's just what I've continued to use. Also, pipettes. I get these little pipettes from Michael's. It's like, they're not particularly cheap. It's like $8 for a pack of 6, but they do the job. They last forever, and it's not something I'm going to have to repurchase. And the last thing I need, since I don't use the brine shrimp net or a fine mesh net, I use a reusable coffee filter. So I'll collect the brine shrimp in here, rinse the salt off of them, and then rinse them into the solo cup, and we'll go from there. So they haven't really separated a whole lot. You can see there is some orange there at the bottom as compared to the rest of the water volume. But squeeze your turkey baster, stick it in all the way to the bottom, and release it. And you can see the brine shrimp and the turkey baster. Do that a couple of times. Get as many of the brine shrimp as you can. It'll continue to set, and the brine shrimp will continue to separate and sink to the bottom after this feeding, and I'll be able to collect some more. And I feed the leftover again to my other fish, to my other juveniles. And we need to rinse the salt out of there. So we're gonna rinse. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. I usually do this two-handed. And we're just gonna rinse all the salt water off of these brine shrimp. Now, a buddy of mine, he just uses tap water, and he has great success with that. I use the aged water. I don't know if it makes a big difference. You know, there is some chlorine in the tap water. I don't know if it's significant enough with these small feedings that it would hurt the fish at all. But he likes to do it that way. He has beautiful fish too. I like to do it this way, and I have success doing it this way. But do not forget to rinse. You do not want to dump that salt water into your tanks. Okay, so that should do it. And you can see I'm getting a nice, well, reflection you probably can't see, but I've got a nice little collection of baby brine shrimp in there. And we'll put those in the cup. Give that another rinse. Into the cup. And you can see I've got my baby brine shrimp there. So I'm going to take the pipette and we're going to feed the juveniles. So these jars are from Angels Plus. I bought 4 or 5 of them when I started breeding. Really cheap. I don't know if they still sell the jar. They still sell the tubing and the sponges. So we're going to turn the air off so the brine shrimp stays suspended. And all we're going to do is collect the brine shrimp in our pipette here. Stick that tubing into the side and put our brine shrimp in there. load the pipette up twice. And most of the brine shrimp went to the bottom just from being pushed in with that pipette. So we're going to give that jar a little shake and get it suspended in the water volume and in the water column. And now our fry are gobbling up that brine shrimp. And you'll see nice little fat orange bellies on your fry after you do that. There's still quite a bit of brine shrimp left, and we're going to take that and we're going to put it right in there with our pariba. And they still just absolutely love it. Baby brine shrimp, by far the best food to give juvenile angelfish, fry, any type of fry that you're raising. If you're breeding something else, baby brine shrimp will work for that as well. But there you go. All the tanks are fed. With the leopard being in this tank, I've got the lights to where they're only on in here for 8 hours a day. Dr. Joanne Norton, who originally did a lot of the genetic research for angelfish that a lot of us use, she did a lot of research on the leopards, breeding them, exposing them to different light times, and she figured out that 8 to 9 hours of light per day is what's required to lock in that beautiful leopard pattern. So I'm following her research, and I only leave the lights on in here for 8 hours a day. So a good look at the pariba swimming around grabbing all that brine shrimp. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the food I'm using from Brine Shrimp Direct or from Ken's, feel free to hit me up in the comments section. See if we can get any of their little bellies turning orange yet. Starting to. But if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.